Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Baseball is back. This is the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Pointsbet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. Luke Stuckmeyer here with Cody Delmedo. Ryan Herrera, our guest, Max Bain, Cubs prospect, will join us in a little bit, but we didn't expect this afternoon. Out of nowhere, threw the whole show into a scramble. Baseball is back. The lockout is over. They did it before it hit 100. 99 days for the lockout. They finally got it figured out, and it looks like players will start reporting real quickly. We're going to have spring training games coming before, they're saying like the 20th, 18, 19, 20 of March. But, I mean, this is just...
It's incredible, Luke.
Finally.
This is a great day to be in the CHGO studios.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Enough of that. You're shaking the camera.
Yeah, easy.
I'm
easy.
sorry. I'm freaking lit. I am so excited. We finally get to watch this team. We can finally talk about what the Cubs can finally do and actually go and do it starting tonight.
Yeah, I was telling
I'm
Cody.
sorry for yelling.
Cody's gonna hammer the Malort tonight. I can tell. A lot of Malort.
No, I was telling Cody that I was like in the process of writing up an article, like talking crap about how the lockout's still going on. We should have agreed to a deal yesterday, stuff like that. I just had to wait a day, I guess. I just had to wait one day. Baseball's back. You know, free agency starts tonight. Apparently, like it's all coming at us, and this is like the most excited I've been in like 4 months.
Curious to know how many like articles like that people had in the drafts that they just trashed after.
Just
like,
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah,
probably plenty of them.
Players vote. John Heyman just said players vote is 26-12 in favor. Baseball will be back. That was one of the first tweets we saw come out.
Yep.
And that sent everybody scrambling to Twitter, everybody going to social media to find out what else was going to happen. That's going to continue probably tonight when free agency begins, and people are going to be up all night long just kind of eyeballing their phone and their laptops and their iPads and all those things.
It's gonna go back to like
there it is. That's the horn that was supposed to go off, Joey.
It's gonna be like the 3 days before the lockout began, where teams were kind of scrambling to sign some people before it happened. Now with a month, I guess, before less than a month.
Three and a half weeks of spring training.
Right,
they're saying.
like with less than a month, these teams, the Cubs, Jed, he should be on the phone calling a handful of people, 2 handfuls of people.
He has to be on the phone right now, right? It has
as
to
we
be.
speak, he better be on the phone right now.
So yesterday, and I got this idea from Brandon Marcellus, says, can't wait to freeze my ass off April 7th in my seat.
Hell yeah.
That's the opening
right.
day,
That's
Brewers.
The reported opening day will be Brewers. It was supposed to be the 14th, like yesterday when they pulled the next 2 series or whatever.
Yeah.
It was the 14th. That was going to be opening day in Colorado, but I guess they're moving it back up a week, and we're going to get Cubs opening day at Wrigley against the Brewers on April 7th.
Right. The games that were taken away and wiped off the calendar are magically back. They're going to play an extra 3 days on the schedule. There's going to be about 3 or 4 doubleheaders for teams to try and make up the other games. So it's the full 162. And hopefully the players and the owners got what they wanted. We've got 5 years, hopefully now, of none of this junk. Like it's over. Finally, just play baseball. Give us baseball peace and go out and play. And hopefully let's get a Cubs World Series in this 5 years of baseball peace. That's what I would really love to see.
Yeah. Jordan Stevens wants to know, does beer money, is that also making a comeback this year now that baseball's back?
I haven't broached that with the powers that be here yet, but like right now we've got optimum hype for Cubs fans around Wrigley. This is the time to really get some good characters on beer money.
Go down to Wrigley pregame, and we'll just start asking people random questions.
There you go.
And maybe that's what we do.
We're going to do something. We're going to plan some things out. It's going to be fun around Wrigley Field. We hope to see people out around Wrigley Field.
Right.
With this spring training only being 3.5 weeks, that window to sign guys is like 10 days, right? Like 10 days. This will be the craziest free agent period in baseball history. I mean, it's got to be laser fast for these guys to sign. So, right away you're thinking, what are they going to do? I mean, we've got rules and we could talk about the money, but as a fan, what I want to know is, okay, who's going to be on the roster when the team starts now? Who's going to be at spring training? They got Marcus Stroman. That was great.
Who else is coming?
That wet the beak a little bit. We got a little excited before the lockout. Then the lockout hits. Now, who do they add to the team? And I know, Cody, you're big on this. You say go all in. You know, if you're gonna dip your foot in the pool with one foot and get Marcus Stroman, go after it. And Stroman's the first guy to go out and tweet right on the Cubs roster and say, "Come through, let's have Wrigley jumping for my dog." Jumping my dog, my bad. To Carlos Correa, right? So listen, Cubs fans, they were singing about him at Christmas time.
Right.
They were singing Christmas carols in his name.
They were asking Santa
Carlos Correa was the only
tree.
reason getting Cubs fans through the lockout. Like
the
the hope, the thought.
Right.
Or even like some other like Wrigley reunions. Those like that. Those little pieces of like potential was like
Right.
I got to tell you, I thought that was totally a pipe dream, but when a guy on the team tweets it, something about that makes you want to say he knows something. Yeah. He's talked to Correa. Yeah. He knows what's going on. He knows the Cubs have made an offer. Isn't that what your heart's like? Your heart's beating in your chest, and you're like, wait a minute. Like most of the Cubs shortstops in the organization are young. Like they've got some guys, Christian Hernandez. They've got Ed Howard. They've got guys lined up to come in and take that spot, but not right now.
Right.
You know, right now it's Nico Horner, who's a nice prospect, but you can move Nico back to second.
Or got Nick Madrigal. You can move Nico to the outfield too.
You can move him all over the place, but if you can get Carlos Correa and put him at short, you don't worry about where you're playing Nico Horner.
Yeah.
No,
right?
Not at all.
No. I'm so excited. Like this is going back to this free agency. You mentioned how hectic it's gonna be. Like the NBA feels like they do it right every year because they have their hard caps, so and they have max contracts.
Yeah.
So they're not just constant negotiations and trying to one up each other. It's like once you get to that max contract, you can't offer anymore, and that's why guys are signing. Every guy signs in that like moratorium period basketball has.
Right.
Baseball doesn't really have that, and you see like contract negotiations go on the entire offseason. It's going to be awesome. You said what, like 10 days probably of a free agency.
It
Maybe
can't be longer
more,
than 2 weeks. You don't want guys showing up with a week of spring training.
So a couple weeks of free agency for baseball is going to be as hectic as it's ever been. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, man. Like you said, Luke. Like I think if you sign Marcus Stroman, you gotta. I'm not saying we need to go all in to go win the World Series, but we need to do enough to put a competitive team out there that is going to at least compete for a wild card spot. Because what's happened over the last 3 years where the Ricketts haven't really spent, and you had all these distractions with the contracts with Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Wilson Contreras still. Like, you put a winning product out there, people forget that stuff, and you move on. And then you make a signing like Marcus Stroman. If you don't do anything else major after that, what's the point? And to me, Marcus Stroman's at a point in his career where he wants to win.
Yeah.
So I don't think he just signed with the Cubs for money. I think the Cubs are like, we're trying to build this thing faster than what many expect. And, we saw some guys play way better than we expected at the end of last year. Frank Schwindel, Patrick Wisdom had his moments, and a bunch of other guys too. They're nice complementary pieces, but we got to get a few more guys to what you're going to get from on the field to go with those guys, and then you can kind of round out and really start to think about what this team can do. That's why when people ask me, well, where are the Cubs going to be next year? Well, during this lockout, I don't know, because I genuinely believe they're going to do more.
Right.
Yeah.
So
what's the other side of the coin? Give us. Jake wants to know.
But Jake, you're killing my buzz, man. Let me have my Cubby Kool-Aid right now. Let me think big, and that any move they make is going to be a good one. I don't want to think about the possibility of them trading Wilson Contreras in the next 10 days.
Right.
That's not something I want to consider. I want to consider them adding to this group and still having the core of these young players that are super exciting be ready to come up and add to it at some point, even if that's a couple years. But in the meantime, give us a taste. Keep us in there. The division's winnable. Mm-hmm. The division's winnable.
Exactly. That's another
12
good
teams
point.
in the playoffs. Let's go. You never know what's going to happen.
One of the main reasons why I stand by this is that the division, there really is no one that's going to run away with it. It's been like that, honestly, since the Cubs won the World Series.
Yeah.
Like, it's been very competitive since 2017. And with Wilson Contreras, I mean, when the lockout began, I was like wishing that they would have been able to extend him before then, but instead of trading him, they should be thinking about extending him as well as, picking up some guys to go with him, because you're not going to find a better catcher on the market. And you already got really nice pieces on your farm system now. So trading them for prospects is kind of sending a message of the opposite of why you would sign Marcus Stroman, which will not create a good vibe with the fan base after the last 3 years. So I think you're both understanding where I'm getting at with all of that. It's just like, it wouldn't make any sense to trade Willson Contreras. It's get that deal done. I know they couldn't talk during the lockout, but I hope there's some sort of like evenness with both of those sides on getting that done faster or quicker than we expect. And then the Cubs go and, sign some guys. Like I said, we talked about the 3 positions yesterday, and I still stand by those 3. They need to get on it, man. Jed needs to make a few signings tonight, man.
Yeah, I like you mentioned how they show that they want to do something. They sign Marcus Stroman, and then trading away Contreras would just send like a weird message.
Right.
It's akin to like the Bulls saying we want to get younger and more athletic, and then going and signing Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade.
It's like signing Jake Arrieta last year.
It
was one of those like, we let John Lester go. Let's sign Jake Arrieta to appease the fans.
Phil wants to know if anybody on the roster is untouchable. No, not necessarily. But my point is that this is a group. If you could add to it, you could win the division this year. You could make this team competitive. Maybe they're already there. We've talked about they need to add to the bullpen. We believe they need to add a starter. We believe they need to add a left-handed bat that would make them even more competitive. But, I'm going through the list of free agents, and I'm looking at big names on there, and I'm like, the Cubs have money? Like, why not add to Marcus Stroman? I mean, some big names are going to go here in the next 10 days. Chris Bryant, free agent. Freddie Freeman, free agent. Dexter Fowler's out there. Nick Castellanos. Trevor Story's out there. That's another guy that makes sense potentially for the Cubs.
You need someone.
Carlos Correa, obviously.
Yeah, to borrow from my wrestling knowledge, you need someone that's going to put butts in the seats. You need a name.
Kyle
Someone's going to put butts in the
Kyle
seats.
Schwarber.
Someone that Cubs fans are going to want to go to Wrigley and watch, and not just go there to say I went to Wrigley Field. Like they want to go there and watch games that the Cubs can actually win. So you need some big names, I think.
And
at least one.
And you said we mentioned this yesterday. We love the Marcus Stroman signing. It's great. He's not an everyday player. You can't go to the ballpark and see him play every day. Go out and add somebody his equal that's a position player to this roster, so the Cubs fans have somebody to go out and see 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week at Wrigley Field, travel on the road. Nobody travels better than Cub fans.
Right.
Get it done. Add an everyday player that you can start building around for the future.
I have a quick question. I'm going to, obviously give it to both of you two, but anyone watching that wants to chime in too as well, do it. So, you can have any player that does the Andre Dawson. They come in, signs a Blake contract, and says, I want to play for the Cubs. Any free agent out there right now, who is it?
Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman?
Chris Bryant.
Why? So why do you two disagree on that?
I think the Cubs, Chris Bryant's flexibility and versatility gives you something that you really like. I'm still a Chris Bryant fan, and I would not be upset at all if they brought back Chris Bryant. Freddie Freeman gives them somebody at first base. I personally don't believe that that's an absolute fixed spot for the Cubs right now. It's still questionable because you don't know what you're going to get back the second season. Whereas at third base, you have infielders that you could move over there. After Freddie Freeman, maybe it's Chris Bryant for me, but Freddie Freeman's that's you brought that up yesterday. I was kind of like, what? Freddie Freeman? What? I'm probably getting a little too excited because but that's what today is about.
Yeah.
Correa, Trevor Story, all those guys. I would love to see Schwarber back as the DH.
Right.
Would love it.
Yeah.
I say Bryant just because of versatility, but also because I just feel if you give Chris Bryant a blank check put on there, like you put it on a desk for Chris Bryant, a blank check, and he gets to decide, I don't know. I feel like that'd be like a full circle moment for the entire situation that's been with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's again, I just feel like not only would he put butts in the seats, but he's already got a history of success here.
Yeah.
And clearly, after what we saw in September, he loves it here. beyond what a lot of people really thought. And I could go it.
I mean, he cried when he left.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
He cried when he found out he was tried. If you don't believe that
I could go down a whole
you don't
rabbit
believe
hole
he
about
loved
that.
it here. He loved it here.
I could. Yeah.
I think Correa's got to be. He's the number one. He's the
that-
number one guy in the market right
Correa
now.
number
what I'm
one.
saying.
If you factor in the championship pedigree, he's playing a premium.
Freddie Freeman's got a championship pedigree.
He does, but Correa's bringing the glove at a premium position, and listen, I think he's the real deal. I'm still not sure I'm paying him $375 over 12 years. Like that's a lot of money, and especially for the Cubs to have. That's the deepest position. The middle infield in the farm is easily the deepest position. You got guys that are a couple years away, but I definitely think that you can make the argument against it.
Yeah, but Joey, this is a blank contract. You could sign him for whatever you want.
Yeah.
Then I do it for
Yeah,
sure.
100%.
And that's what I'm saying is that
He's going to play for $5.
I think he's the best one on the market. I think he's the
minimum
best.
revenue.
I do know that, again, just to be a slight buzzkill, and I believe this is where Jake was going with the comment was, well, what's the flip side of it? How could it be a bad signing? The bad signing would be like, well, what was going on in Houston?
Yeah.
What was going on? But even before that,
I'll get over it.
Even before that, he was a top player in baseball. He was someone people were focusing on. We don't know how far back that went.
The amount of years that he's rumored to want is also like that. That kind of holds me back.
Yeah.
Elliott wants the sheriff back.
And anyone should want Andrew Chafin back, honestly. I mean, a nice consolation to him if the Cubs were to choose to spend more money on more pitching would be Trevor Story. I do think Trevor Story would be a nice fit too. And I know he's just a few more years older and he's coming off a down season, but he always hit well at Wrigley, and I mean, he's proven he can play. So again, I think the big thing for it too is that the Cubs have at least 3 or 4 infield prospects that will probably play shortstop in their career. So if I don't feel like you have to pay you don't have to go get Correa and give him all those years when you have that in your back pocket, but you got to get someone to, I guess in a way, be a bridge. And I feel like Trevor Story would be a nice spot for that too. So
there's a lot of names they could add that would make Cub fans happy in the next 10 days.
Yeah. I think
a lot.
Yeah, like you said, the 10 years, especially with Scott Boras as his agent now, it's going to be tough to sign Carlos Correa for anything that doesn't seem like a crazy contract.
Right.
But back to the original question, blank contract, I'm picking Carlos Correa. I think he's young. He plays a premium position. He can hit. He has Gold Glove caliber defense. He can hit. I mean, and then we talked about Nico Horner. Yeah. Carlos Correa's had some injury issues and stuff. Nico Horner can give him the off day every once in a while.
And maybe Marcus Stroman knows something we don't know.
There we go.
Maybe.
That's what I'm hanging my head. So you're saying there's a chance?
Telling me there's a chance?
I had it down at 0.0001. I don't know if that's a number, but I had it way down there. Now I'm pushing it up. It keeps creeping up on me a little bit. We'll talk more about what the CBA looks like, the 5-year deal. Looks like the players are getting roughly $500 million in new money, raises for rookies and players that aren't eligible for arbitration. Minimum salary goes up to $700,000. That's like a hike of $130,000 for some of these players. This part is interesting. The 6-pick draft lottery for the 18 teams that don't make the playoffs, instead of the number 1 pick just going to the worst team. They're trying to stop tanking as much as possible, which I think everybody, while it worked for the Cubs, and we're glad it did, I think everybody knows it's not necessarily a good thing for baseball.
Yeah, I feel like the Pirates are such a great example of it. Like, they blew up their team after, 2016, 2017, somewhere in that range. And yeah, they got some guys coming up. There's one guy, his name's coming up. It's falling off my head, but they have failed to really get any momentum going. It feels like. I feel like this coming season they're another 100-loss season type team, and in a way, I feel like they're just kind of okay with it. And I don't know, to me at least. And Ryan, we said this the other day. I think it was after we did the draft or whatever. That those teams from 2011 to 2014, even though the Cubs were bad, for some reason they were still fun to watch, and I don't want to say get excited about, but like you knew what was coming, but for some reason you were able to just kind of get through it. Maybe it's because we're Cubs fans and we're just kind of, we were used to it, but I don't know. Maybe that's a bad example, but I just feel like the Pirates fans, I mean, they're one of the lower attendances. PNC Park is a beautiful ballpark. No one wants to go to it because their team sucks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's one of the nicest ballparks in baseball. I'd put it in my top 2 or 3.
Yeah. I've never been there, but I've seen so many pictures.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Pete DeGeorge says Cubs need outfield help.
Yep.
We need outfield help. Is there an outfielder out there right now off the top of your head that you could actually see come into the Cubs that would be a big signing?
I mean, Dexter
wouldn't be a big signing. Schwarber would be a big signing, but we don't know how much he'd really play outfield. You could put him in left field for sure. Yeah.
I want to say
I'll kind of scroll through this list and see.
I want to say Castellanos would be he would be huge to bring.
Jock Peterson's
I don't
available.
See that happening. I don't see him coming back.
Jock Peterson would be a nice with the way that the Cubs played in the second half, where they platoon a lot of guys based off matchups. I feel like it'd be smart to, if you bring Jock Peterson back, you kind of go the Dodgers route and be like, hey man, you're only going to face righties, because he really never hit well against lefties, and it showed why the Dodgers didn't let him.
Right.
So I feel like if you're going to bring a guy like Jock Peterson back, that would be you're only facing righties type guy. And again, I'm not against it.
Castellanos obviously would be interesting.
Cubs Twitter would erupt if they brought back Castellanos.
Yeah. They would be excited.
They would be. I feel like it'd be almost better than if they brought back Rizzo or Bryant, and that's saying something, because
I can't go that far, but I won't go that far. And Mike Dubs is pointing out, don't forget they got Clint Frazier too, and listen, that's an interesting pickup.
Yeah,
it might work out. The Cubs love that type of player.
What did we say yesterday? The Cubs love a
reclamation
project. Yeah.
Also,
and that's basically what he is.
Yeah, we kind of said that there was no untouchables in the on the active roster. I think in the system, Brennan Davis kind of feels like an untouchable.
In the system, yeah.
And he's a guy that could come up and play outfield for us this year, or for the Cubs this year, and do some do some work. I don't know if he's going to be an all-star. Probably not. That doesn't happen often, but he'd be a good outfielder, and then that's the future.
I feel like Brennan Davis is going to be at Iowa for a month and a half, and then we'll see him.
You think they're going to...
Given the new CBA rules, the Cubs are incentivized to bring him up and have him start producing right away. They will be rewarded.
I also
let's do it now. If he's ready, bring him up.
What was that rule?
It was going to be May, right? The timeline would have been May if it was under the old rules,
right?
Most likely.
And if you are bringing players along that end it at a certain WAR threshold at the end of the season, then you're rewarded with draft picks if they're within a certain year. And then that also factors in with that he would be a pre-arbitration eligible player who would, if he qualified, then he would make bonuses that were not there before the lockout. So good for Brennan.
All right. So obviously Cubs fans will be excited when Brennan Davis comes up. He's coming up this season, obviously. At some point, he's on the Cubs roster.
It's going to be,
and you'll get to see him.
I feel like it's going to be, like when Chris Bryant made his debut. This is the first big prospect, probably since Ian Happ. But as far as potential and can be part of your next core to win the championship, this it's going to feel like when Chris Bryant came up in 2015, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, this is just the most exciting day we've had as a Cubs fan.
Since we've been here.
I mean, well, no, not since we've been here. I mean, you're dating back to before they traded off all the players, for sure. In over a year. And I don't know if you went into last season looking at that group, because there was still the thought they're going to sell these guys off going into last season. Then you go back and you go into the beginning of the pandemic, and that was a buzzkill. You're going back several years probably before it was this exciting as a Cubs fan, just to have the games back.
Yeah.
Forget where the team is at right now. Just to have,
I feel like
real baseball.
We're back to the moment when the Cubs signed Stroman, and you got remember the guys like Frazier and the other contracts that they took on. They were building some momentum with that. Then the signing of Stroman, and then the lockout happened. Now it's kind of all right, we're back at that moment now. Now that the lockout is over, we're back at that moment. We can think about and have all these, fantasies about who they can sign.
We could stop fantasizing now. It's like things are starting to they're going to start happening. We've spent all the last 3-4 months fantasizing about things that can finally
It's
actually
exciting.
I'm fantasizing right now about Jed and Carter, 2 phones like this sitting there. Like, we want you. Come on over. We'll give you $1 million. We'll give you $2 million.
Yeah.
Right? Get it done.
Get it done, man.
And, you know where else you get it done? Pointsbet. That's where you really get it done. Yeah. Right now, you can go out and make some cash so you can buy a couple extra tickets to, upgrade your seats a little bit when we get to Wrigley Field.
I like that idea. Win a couple bets, take one of my parlays. You got money to get tickets in April like that guy who was in the comments earlier. You can do it. The best way to do it is at Pointsbet. And the best way to support CHGO is to download the Pointsbet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker room. #dope merch. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you. Remember that Pointsbet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, live NBA same-game parlay. For the first time ever, build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. You can even boost your live same-game parlays. And now, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Luke did it. If Luke can do it, you all can do it too.
Anybody can do it. Any fool can do it if I can do it.
Signing up with the fastest sportsbook is now easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. Use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
What a time to be at CHGO, right?
Yeah.
Day 7 of this network. We were going to, in case you're just joining us and today's the first day, we've got podcasts, we've got live shows every day, every team, post-game shows, something we've only had so far for the Blackhawks and the Bulls. Now, Sox and Cubs, we got some post-game shows coming up for you. After every game, we're going to be here talking about the Cubs. Ryan's going to be at the ballpark writing articles, joining us with stuff from the locker room or clubhouse with your premium written content. First of all, everybody's going to be going to the ballpark with sick drip, but now you add the dope merch. Add dope merch.
#dope merch.
To what you have going on your drip. You got maybe an earring, whatever it might be. I don't care. Now you add the dope merch. You got a little something going, and you get a free shirt when you become a member. So the dope merch, we get your base going, and then you add to it. And a members only Discord to CHGO Lounge, which is real nice.
I like how you say it like that, Luke.
Lounge.
There you go.
All right, let's. This was our original plan, and he still agreed to do it, which is really cool, right?
Yes.
We're gonna bring in. Hopefully, this works. We haven't done it before. We've got Max Bain, Cubs prospect, joining us from Arizona, where he's been out working hard, but no current major leaguers around, so they've just been getting their work in, getting things done. Max, can you hear us? Okay.
I can't hear him over here.
Not yet. Hold on. We got it.
Sorry.
Maybe,
Try it again.
Maybe.
Yes.
There he is.
There he is.
All right. Guys,
Max,
how we doing?
We're doing great, man. We really appreciate you jumping on with us. And, leading up to this whole thing with the lockout, I know one of the things has been Cubs fans have just been diving into the prospects, diving into what's going on at the minor leagues. And your name has popped up across my Twitter feed, Facebook feed, anywhere on social media as someone that Cubs fans are getting excited about. So we're thrilled to find out what's going on with you. We want to talk about your podcast, and we appreciate you joining us on what is a crazy day all around baseball. You got to be excited too, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to start and thank you guys for having me on. Obviously, today's a huge day. You guys know as well as me, it's a nice, cushion to the blow that is Aaron Rodgers running the NFC North for the next 4 years. So it's good to have baseball back.
Yeah, Max, I know Cody's kind of told us a little bit about you, but for the, give us a quick synopsis of who Max Bain is for the people at home that maybe aren't as familiar with who you are.
Wow. Quick is not something I'm good at. Let's see. So I'm a D2 guy. I played at a little small school in Michigan called Northwood University. Had a fair amount of team success there, but I don't know that I was necessarily draft ready when I graduated college. I was about 300 pounds and was about 88, 90 off the bump. Nothing really spectacular. Played indie ball for the summer of 2019. And then from then on, just kind of took everything into my own hands. I went, drive line throwing protocols, Eric Cressy lifting protocols, and just kind of threw myself at it. There were countless days where I'm in the gym 5-6 hours on my own time, just kind of in there alone, grinding away. And I was fortunate enough to earn an opportunity to play for the Chicago Cubs. And, everything that's happened is it's been a really cool thing to kind of see come to fruition. I don't know that I was where I needed to be when I signed. But, obviously with 2020 being the year that it was, one thing it did bring was a lot more time for me to, get myself into the position to be a competitive professional baseball player. And I took that and ran with it. When I signed, I think I was still about 265. And then, during that COVID season, I was able to kind of work my way all the way down to 235 and kind of see my role even within the organization change, just from that one inning relief guy that got signed off of Twitter because he throws hard to, what I would consider a legitimate prospect and a guy that can go out there and just be more than the Twitter guy who throws hard.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, and the path of learning along the way and not just being like the guy who they hang the hat on and say, there's something to be said for that, like paying your dues, working your way hard through different levels, independent ball, working on your physique, working on your arm, all of those things. When you get there, hopefully it's going to feel that much better, like it's going to be that much more rewarding as a player and you'll appreciate it more. And I think organizations now, you're looking for those guys. You're trying to find that diamond in the rough that appreciates getting there because they're going to work harder when they get to the major leagues too, because they know what the tough days were like. Do you see that throughout the Cubs organization? You've been out in Arizona. Do you see a group of guys that we should be excited about?
I think excited about is an understatement. One of the things I find really cool, when I signed, the narrative about the Cubs is that we struggle to develop pitching. And, I look around now, even in my small group today for camp, I look around, I got Danny Palencia, who we got back for the Sheriff, who we brought up earlier. We got him back last summer, and he's a guy that's easily, 98 to 101, just comfortably. I got Cole Franklin to my right, and obviously he had a huge day the other day. And the system is just littered with dudes who throw hard and have nasty stuff. And I'm just excited to see, like I said, just like the progress of it all, and just to see, the competitive nature within the clubhouse, and then obviously the competitive nature on the field, and going toe to toe with other organizations.
I know one of the things you brought up, I think was on your Brennan Davis. Your podcast is the Bain Campaign, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had Brennan Davis on, and I can't remember if it was you or Brennan. I apologize, but the fact that you talked about how you'll see players in other organizations, you be around teams where guys are rooting against other guys. There's competition, but that like this group of young players for the Cubs doesn't feel that way. It's there's a bond there, and they're working to the same goal. That can be super productive. Am I overstating what you think is down there for that group?
Right now I'm living with Ben Hecht, and he's a relief pitcher within the organization. And one of the things that we talk about pretty constantly is just how proud we are to be a part of an organization that just takes so much pride in bringing in quality people, not just, quality baseball players, individually, but people that they see are going to fit with the culture and kind of the direction that they're looking to go. So, I see nothing but amazing people from head to toe in the organization.
You love to see that.
Yeah, it's good to hear. That's really good to hear.
Max, first off, this is insane. We're doing this. I remember doing this in my apartment with you a year ago. This is awesome. So I just had to get that off my chest. Yeah, who would have thought? So now that I have made it to this point in my career, is your turn to play at Wrigley one day, man. It's all on you, man.
Hey, if you could pull some strings for me, that'd be tight. You see how to know to climb the ladder. So pull some strings. Maybe give me some advice on how to climb that ladder. Be perfect.
Well, you mentioned about the the progress you did with your body and everything to get down to the weight that you wanted to be. I guess kind of go through the whole process of, how that really went. I know obviously you lose weight. Everyone knows how you do it, but it's easier said than done, right? So
sure. Yep.
I know you mentioned, your velocity increased a lot after or during that process and everything. And we've seen that a lot just with prospects in general. If there's someone out there that I wouldn't say is in the same situation as you, but is maybe somewhat similar to it, what advice would you give them to help them get to where you're at right now?
I would tell them to live with my parents, because my parents took care of my nutrition for about 6 months and they crushed it. So no. So I would tell them to, I think it all starts with nutrition and sleep, to be honest with you. I think if you don't sleep well consistently, then you're not putting yourself, or you're not putting your body in a position to train in a way that's going to show progress over time. And on the nutrition side, I think if we fall into the trap, or I shouldn't phrase it that way. One of the things I did was I just treated food as function for about 3 or 4 months, and it was like I would have the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and a snack right before bed, and then I rotated between 3 dinners, and I did that for several months on end. And because it was a formula that was working, so why would I stop doing that? So to me, it was very black and white. Sleep well, eat well, and train well, and it was just something that kind of clicked for me, and I just stuck with it. So, trusting the process, one, and two, just taking care of yourself, man. Sleep, nutrition is the foundation of everything, and all that kind of leads into how you're able to train every day.
So if I do all that, I'll one day hit 97 with my fastball. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Awesome. Good to know. I wish I would have known that 10 years ago, but it's all right.
So obviously all that hard work is a huge part of getting you to the point you're at now. You were in South Bend last year, pro ball, but it's not everything. You still have to have that drive to get there. And I'm always curious about pitchers these days, how much they use the other stuff that's out there that pitchers didn't have 15 years ago. How often are you improving yourself by being under a camera? Looking closely at where your release is, or where all of that stuff. When did that start for you? Has that always been part of your process, the cameras and the pitch labs? And when did that come into your picture?
Yeah. To be quite honest with you, I don't think that it was a resource that I was able to use in college. So it was really that first off season where I got to do everything my way. I was really fortunate to be training at a facility in Waterford, Michigan. Give them a little shout out, Primetime Velocity. They kind of introduced me to the Rapsodo, and then the staff there had introduced me to some, I guess, courses, if you want to put it that way, more so informational resources that helped me kind of learn the biomechanics side or the pitch design side, and just kind of how to articulate what I'm seeing within the technology that we're using. So, I took a lot of pride in using that technology, using it in that black and white, perspective, where it's like, okay, if this is good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. And I'm gonna have to admit that. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat a bad curveball like that. That gets me nowhere. So, I think we're at the point now. I don't want to say my stuff's perfect by any means, but I think we're at the point now where you're looking at my arsenal as big, it's big league stuff. And when we kind of hit that point, you don't want to complicate things too much. So at this point, it's more so going on feel and taking shapes to the eye test, and not so much evaluating the data every single day and trying to manipulate things to make them better every single day. It's like, okay, the stuff is really good. That's not the question anymore. It doesn't take a genius to go look at my stats and see that I walked a lot of guys last year. That's kind of the focus now. Is like, okay, the stuff's good. How do we get it? How do we use it to get more hitters out and be more effective with what we got?
Interesting. And you also have to figure that the stuff plays at a certain level. You have to make sure it plays at the next level, right? If it worked in South Bend, you got to make sure it works whenever you get to AAA. And when it works at AAA, you have to make sure that those same pitches are working at a major league level, and that you're not just kind of relying on great stuff at a lower level, right? You have to keep pushing it forward until you get to where you're going. And then you know what? when you get to the majors, you have to push it forward again. It's
Exactly.
Do you enjoy that process?
I love it, and I think one of the cool things that the Cubs do for us is they kind of convey everything to us on a big league scale, and I think that that's really cool for like our development. It's not okay. What's going to make me a great high A pitcher? It's okay. Maybe this doesn't work today, but the more we develop it, it's going to work in the big leagues. And you talk about improving at the big league level. I think one of the most true things I've heard about professional baseball is it's not nearly as hard to get there as it is to stay. So I can view this process that I'm in right now as incredibly difficult. I don't think it's going to compare when that day comes, or when that time comes in the big leagues.
I saw that. What was it? 97? Was it 97? Is that what you hit on? That I saw on Twitter. Comfortably 97. People were saying. My question is: were you surprised? Because obviously the reporters that were there were like, "Whoa, Max Bain, 97 comfortably." Did it catch you off guard the first time you threw it and they put the gun up?
So a little bit, but not for the reason that you would think. So, when I came into spring training last year, I kind of had this different mindset where it was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to throw as hard as I can and just, show the fastball and be aggressive with it. And last year I was a guy during camp where I was like 96 to 99. It's going to haunt me forever, but I hit 99.8 last year and I didn't quite get 100. So like, that's going to haunt me forever. But this year coming in, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to hit the higher end of my output capabilities at a lower intensity. So the idea behind it would be sustaining it within starts and then sustaining it over 30 or 35 starts throughout a year. But to come in the first day, I had an opportunity to throw live at home in a dome to Eastern Michigan University. And I mean, it was a pretty easy 93 to 96. So I had an idea that it was in there, but I was curious to see how it was going to play once I was down in Arizona. So to be, 95, 97 that day, and then the next outing kind of be more in that 90, 95, 98 range. That was definitely cool.
Very good. Very good. You can hang around, right? You can continue hanging out with us a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's hit up Pointsbet. Let's talk to our friends from Pointsbet, and we'll get back to Max because I want to ask him some stuff about the lockout and how it plays for minor league players too.
Max, I don't know if you're a gambling guy or not, a gambling man, but listen up because you got some good information from us. But if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the Pointsbet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt, #dope merch, of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the Pointsbet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. What are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Hello, I like money.
Oh, my God.
Joey.
Mr. Cat.
Mr. Krabs. Do you know who Mr. Krabs is?
No.
Okay. That's all right.
Grandpa Stucky.
Stucky was pretending.
Grandpa Stucky doesn't know Mr. Krabs.
Come on, I'm on my way to 100 at this
The
point.
comments let Grandpa Stucky know who Mr. Krabs is. That's what I'm asking.
All right, I'll Google that. I'll use the Google machine for that this afternoon. Back to Max Bain, who is in Arizona, joining us live. One of the Cubs' top prospects has really kind of splashed onto the scene here as minor league spring training is going on. He's kind enough to join us today from Arizona. He's got a cool podcast out there, the Bain Campaign. Max, when this was going on and the lockout was basically ended, where were you? How excited? We got a tweet here. You texted Cody, but were guys talking about it every day? Were guys flipping through their phones, just kind of checking for those updates all the time?
Yeah. So it's, you don't find many guys in the middle of the spectrum. So either you have the guys like me who are refreshing Twitter every, 10 seconds to see if Jesse Rogers or John Heyman's going to put something out, hopefully Evan Drellich. But you have the other end where it's the guys that don't even want to, they'll show up when they show up. Just let me know when it's over. I don't care about the details. I try to find as many people as I can to talk about, everything that's happening as it's happening.
then with that explanation, you're clearly one of the guys that have kind of paid attention to the lockout and the negotiations this whole time. A lot of the major leaguers are saying, Anthony Rizzo especially, like, hey, it sucks that we're not signing, we're not coming to an agreement, but we're doing this for the next generation, for the guys that come up later. I mean, in your opinion, and even just like the conversations you've had, do you feel like that's true? Like what they're doing and what they're asking for is setting you and the rest of the minor leaguers up for when they do come up to the majors and they're in a better situation than what the major leaguers are in now.
Yeah, I do think so. I think, oh boy, I think that the players union has this, like, I guess, public perception that they typically get. I guess the word that I saw was worked over. So I don't want that to come from my mouth. Somebody else said it. I'm just regurgitating it. They have this reputation that they kind of get worked over. So to see them take a real stance and say that, these are the things we want, this is why we want them, and we're not backing down at just the first sign of struggle. I thought it was really cool. And one of the things I had to imagine is pretty crazy is being one of the owners and trying to negotiate in the same room as Max Scherzer. I mean, that dude is psychotic in the best way possible, but that can't be a fun experience.
Was there any players who were, like, I guess, against how long this thing was taken out, like, or going on, in a way that maybe it seemed like they were a pro owner?
No. I think, especially in our locker room right now,
I just had to ask.
Obviously not being, yeah, no. I get it. Obviously not being part of the union right now, it's all out of our control. So to kind of get wrapped up in it to the degree that we're, like, polling for the owner side is probably not really prevalent in any locker room, I would say. But yeah.
But you also, it seems like it would be a weird scenario for you guys out in Arizona. Like, you're out there, you're wearing your Cubs gear, you're part of the organization, but the current major league roster, the 40-man roster, they can't be near the ballpark. They can't work with, was that just kind of an odd feeling that, the rest of the organization wasn't there and you guys were kind of able to go do your thing?
For sure. But also you have to remember that this isn't our first time doing that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, we got to have this experience just a year ago when they, oh my gosh, what's the word? They staggered spring training. Right. So we already had a spring training where it was just us and there were no big leaguers around. So this is almost, for me, that was my first spring training. So that's kind of almost the norm. I just show up. There's really no big leaguers around. They're already you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of the norm for me. So I can tell you that I'm really looking forward to having those guys in the building. But, again, the Cubs did a really good job of kind of bridging that gap for us. I've had some pretty cool opportunities to work with a guy like Tommy Hotovy. That's been really special and something that I took full advantage of and really appreciated. So, the organization is doing a great job bridging that gap, but it also wasn't the first time that we had gone through that experience.
Right.
Max, I actually got a question here from behind the board.
Go for it.
I'm just curious, not as much on the topic of the lockout, but, just given everything that the Cubs have been going through over the last year or so, last season, what was that kind of like from your perspective, seeing the Cubs go through such a big transition, moving off some guys that have played such a big role here in the franchise, and ultimately, as a young guy in the organization, what is it like for you, now that the organization is going in this different direction, going towards a younger, direction? Is that exciting for you? What's the feeling, with the guys in the lower levels, that should have an opportunity now?
So I'll say that the system now is kind of viewed as the land of opportunity, but even more so, I got the chance to meet a lot of new friends, man, and I got to watch some really fun baseball. Obviously everybody wants to point to obviously the big one last year was the Chris Bryant trade, and the two guys we got back. Caleb Killian is the locker across from me, and he couldn't be a nicer human being. And then, obviously I got to share the back half of the season with Alex Canario, and to see some of the baseballs that he hit. I'm sure you guys saw some of them, but man, some of the baseballs he hit, I lost. They're still going. So, it was it's definitely a time where you feel like, if you go play well, you can kind of tell the org that you're ready to move up and ready to be in that scenario and competing at the highest level. But just getting to meet even more people and just kind of create some new friendships and watch some fun baseball.
I feel like that's probably helped with the podcast, the Bain Campaign, I've listened
Absolutely.
to a handful of episodes, and you've had guys from all across the board as far as the organization. You had Michael Hermosillo on there. Luke mentioned Brennan Davis. How's that helped with creating relationships and just, your enjoyment of talking baseball, I guess?
Yeah. So I think it's kind of helped the perception of what my personal brand's supposed to be. I think when a guy has a personal brand, it's often viewed as like a look at me type of deal. And, that was the reason I had originally kind of hesitated on the name of the podcast, because I didn't want it to be all about me. So I think for the people, the guys who I've been fortunate enough to interview, or, the people who have, taken the time to listen to it, I think they've kind of gotten a chance to see the real me, and that it's more for me about kind of promoting everybody else, having the opportunity to have guys like you mentioned, Brennan Davis or Jordan Wicks, or even like a Rob Hill who's with the LA Dodgers, like just getting to see the perspectives and promote the kind of the community that we have in professional baseball, I think was a really cool opportunity. So it was also a really cool opportunity for me to learn, because there's a lot of that has to happen in minor league baseball. So just kind of taking full advantage of that, and then kind of letting people see the real me, man. That was the whole thing going in, is I wanted nothing but transparency and authenticity. So what you hear on the podcast is what you're going to get from me.
You gonna bring the vlogs back then?
So the podcast is why. So I'll tell you why though. So the vlogs were awesome because everybody else made the content work, right? It came from my channel, and sure, I was on it a little bit, and obviously I'm going to play a larger part in it because I'm filming the whole thing. But the guys I got to have on there, so Rio Gomez or Phil Deal, or my roommate in spring training who's playing junior college ball, Alex Mikolakis, like those guys kind of made the content work, and they brought it all together. So, in living in Detroit this past winter, it was me and one other guy, and I was like, I could do the vlog, but who the hell is just going to want to watch me all off season? Like, I wouldn't want to do that. That'd get boring. Like, where's everybody else? So I decided that the podcast was a better way to go, just because, again, like I said, it's more about promoting everybody else than it is shining a light on myself. That's not as important to me.
He's a bigger man than the rest of us, I guess.
Did you always want to do that? Podcasting or some sort of media, or is that just something that showed up on your doorstep and you were like, yeah, I'll try that?
Yeah. So I got to thank a longtime friend, not long time, I guess. I got to thank a friend of mine for kind of getting me into the whole thing. One, Aiden McIntyre, who's with the Oakland A's. He's also got an episode on the podcast. And then two, Eric Sim at King of JUCO on Twitter. Those two guys are close friends of mine, and they've been really good in that. They're really well versed in that kind of personal brand development and personal brand building. So kind of Eric really pushed me over the edge, because once he kind of heard my story and just kind of where I came from and whatnot, he's like, dude, you have to do something because you have such a unique perspective. And I think for me, the last part that kind of pushed me over the top was in high school and in college. I would have wanted that same access that I'm now giving to people. I would have wanted to know what it's like to be a minor league baseball player, or what it's like to train at these facilities during their pro hours, or whatever it may be. So just kind of that insider access is something I wish I would have had. I think that's really cool, and it's something it's kind of the new wave in athletics, and I just want to be part of it and help give back to the people.
You mentioned Tommy Hotovy. Is there a player that you leaned on in your first year at spring training, or that you've leaned on in the off season, or just at camp this spring in Arizona? Is there somebody that you can talk to about stuff and you really feel like they've helped you out?
Yeah. So I mentioned I'm living with Ben Hecht, and I don't know that I talked to anybody about baseball more than I talked to Ben. So, really since I signed with the Cubs, Ben and I kind of got to meet at a mini camp back in 2020. And since then, I mean, we've been damn near best friends. So, kind of bouncing everything off of him, getting his perspective. This is his 6th year in the org. So he's kind of seen everything, and he's not surprised by anything anymore. So he's been a great resource to have, and an even better friend.
Max, I think another one of the effects of the lockout is obviously like the major league staff, David Ross, whatever, they can't talk to the major league players, the guys on the 40-man roster, whatever it is. So when they're down in Mesa at the minor league camp, or just the spring training that's going on anyway, you have all their attention. You have if you're on the mound, they're only looking at you. So not only having the minor league coach's attention, but also the guys running the major league club as well. Does that give you any more kind of an edge, or any way to like kind of boost your confidence or make you want to perform even better than you already are doing?
Yeah, I will say the first time I met Tommy, I didn't realize it was actually Tommy. So I came off the bullpen mound. He's like, "Hey man, I'm Tommy. Nice to meet you." I was like, "Oh, okay." So like Tommy Hotovy just watched I know of you. I didn't know who. I didn't realize it was actually you. Oh, okay. Tommy Hotovy was watching my pen. So when you do notice that kind of stuff, there's a little bit of an adrenaline boost, but really you just want to be a sponge with those guys and just be, like I said, just be grateful for the opportunity to work with them because they much like Ben, they've seen anything and everything. So just to kind of hear their perspective and be an open book, it's really cool.
Brennan Davis, what can Cubs fans expect? Because I think they all believe he's going to be there pretty soon.
That man is a very good baseball player. That is that's the best way I can put it, man. He does stuff on the field that it's really impressive, man. This kind of stinks because I don't have the words. He's just a good baseball player. I think my buddy Joe over at Obvious Shirts, shout out Cody for rocking the hoodie. I think my buddy Joe has a shirt that says Brennan Davis is good at baseball, and I think that sums it up perfectly.
Very cool. Hey, your podcast, are you taking a break now during the baseball season, or when will it be back on?
Yeah, so one of the things about producing content and being in the clubhouse every day is I never want it to be a distraction. I think it's a really cool off-season project. I think it's something that's different. It kind of keeps it kind of keeps baseball year-round to some degree. So in doing that in season, I think that it has the potential to be a distraction, and I don't ever want that to be the case. I'd rather say that for the off season, do it on my own time, and not force it. We get every Monday. The minor league schedule kind of sets us up to where we get every Monday off, and as much as I love baseball, I don't want to spend every day off thinking about more baseball. If I get a day off, I want to go golf or go do something that's just something different,
Yeah.
I was thinking Mondays. Can we check in with you every once in a while? Is that cool, or are we done for the season? We'd love to check in with you. I think this has been a ton of fun.
Yeah. I got one last thing, one last question. Well, I guess it's a two-parter.
Ryan, hit him with the hard one.
It's a two-parter. Going back to your deadlift video you posted, the deadlift challenge that y'all were doing. Let's see if Joey can get it pulled up real quick.
Come on, Joey, hit us with it.
It's all right.
That's a lot of pressure.
Oh, no.
We might not get it.
Joey's under pressure.
I was gonna ask. You posted it was 525 by 5. Is your deadlift higher than that now? That's number one. Has it gone up since? And number two, are you cheating the system by using a trap bar instead of a barbell? Is that cheat? I use a barbell, but is that kind of cheating?
I do what they assigned to us. As far as I'm concerned, picking up 525 is still picking up 525.
All right.
No, if anything, I'd be cheating by using those little bit of lifts on the bottom that you can kind of see. There's two plates at the bottom that give me a little bit of a lift, but essentially it just puts me in a better hinge position, which is more applicable to the actual delivery on the mound than a tall guy like me. I have to be there. It is. Hey, look at me. Tall guy like me, I have to go too far into that hinge to, really get anything out of it. So, that's cool. I like lifting heavy stuff. So I don't know if it's gone up since then, just because there's just kind of how phases kind of work within the weightlifting schedule. Like right now, I'm just trying to move everything as fast as I can. So I'm running sets of 5 at like 405 right now, just trying to move it as fast as I can. So we'll kind of see like when that progresses into the next off season. I'm sure hopeful though. I'd love to hit 600.
Wow, that'd be fantastic if you could.
That'd be insane.
That hurts my soul because I was just thinking I should get back into getting in shape, and I was going to start with like maybe 20 push-ups. So deadlifting 600, that makes me feel bad and old. But I'm not a professional athlete, and I'm certainly not close to making the major leagues. So
right, Max, before we let you go, man, give us the Chipotle order because I know you're a big fan. Big fan. You tweet about it at least once a month, I feel like.
Yeah, so I had to put Chipotle in a little bit of a timeout over the winter because I went in one day and I ordered my bowl and I'm sitting at the cash register, and I'm looking at the back and there are like 4 bags of chips sitting up there. I was like, hey, can I get a bag of chips with my bowl? And they look at me and they said, no, it's online order only. You can only get chips. And I said, if I offer you cash right now, I can't have one of those bags of chips. And she goes, nope, those are for online orders only. So since that day, they have been a little bit of a timeout. But we've kind of rekindled the love, I should say, over the last week or so. And let's see, no rice, no beans, double chicken, pico, corn, guac, cheese, and then a bag of chips on the side. So stay away from all those carbs and the rice, and just try to get the most nutritious meal from there as possible.
I love it, man. I love it.
Love it.
Very cool. Max Bain, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on today. We're so excited baseball's back. We're looking forward to Cactus League games. We want to see you in some of this action here before the season starts. And if we don't somehow see you or talk to you before your season starts, we want to wish you good luck. Health,
Thank you.
good pitching, a great summer, and we'll see you at the big leagues hopefully very, very soon. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you guys for having me on. Don't Twitter search Khalil Mack. Don't do it. I'm just letting you know you're going to be disappointed.
No.
Thank you guys for Thank you guys for having me on. This has been outstanding. The Lions are going to enjoy not seeing Khalil Mack on the other side of the ball. So thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, no. All right.
4 more years till any of us can win the division anyway, so it's all good.
Oh, jeez. All right. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Big thanks to Max Bain. We would appreciate a 5-star review. And most of all, guys, baseball is back.
Let's go.
BACK, back, baby.